Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Mental Health Society's interview series through IGTV. I'm Dana. I'm an executive, and I also manage the social media. Today, we have Heather from Clarity Counseling as joining us. Welcome, Heather.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. We're just going to get right into it. So can you tell me a bit about yourself and your background?
Absolutely. I started my professional career as a dental hygienist all the way back in 1994. And I worked in that job for a very long time, and I really enjoyed the personal one-on-one connection with people. I really loved working in healthcare, but unfortunately was unable to continue because of my neck and back. So I really identified what I loved about my job, and it was working with people. And I decided to go ahead and get my counseling degree as well.
Wow, that's really awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for sharing that. That's great. So
thanks.
can you tell me a bit about your practice?
Absolutely. Right at the moment, I am still doing my practicum work. I'm a fairly new counselor, and I have a fairly general practice, but I do have a special interest in helping youth. I have worked with Need To, which is a suicide prevention organization. And I do have my ASSIST training, which is the Applied Suicide Intervention Skills training as well. My practice is located in the Royal Oak Plaza with 5 other absolutely lovely counselors who go under the umbrella of Ginger Henderson Counseling Services, but we are all our own independent practitioners as well. So we have a really great group setting, but we are all independently owned and operated as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what's your availability right now during the pandemic?
I'm pretty much available most days. I do take at least 2 days a week off in order to make sure that I'm staying healthy myself. So I'm pretty much available anywhere from Tuesday to Saturday. Sometimes if I don't have bookings in the middle of the week, I'll take bookings on Sundays as well. Right now we're doing telehealth sessions, which is what we're doing right now. And doing it that way obviously is in line with the social distancing or physical distancing regulations that the BC government has laid out for us. So it's still a very nice and accessible way to be able to access counseling services.
That's awesome. It's a great way to adapt for sure.
Yeah.
What would you suggest to someone who is new to counseling and trying to find a service that works for them?
Yeah, so in my opinion, one of the most important parts of accessing a counselor is, first of all, making that decision to go to counseling, because that can often be one of the hardest um, steps to going into the process of counseling. Secondly, it's important to find somebody who you feel comfortable with sharing with, because counseling it can bring up emotions from in the past. It can definitely be a process that it has many, many positives, but it can also be quite a vulnerable place to be. So if you're comfortable with somebody, that's really important. And a lot of counselors do offer, a phone or used to be in person, but it could be a video little meet and greet so that you can get to know them on a very small basis. I think also a very important part when accessing counseling is that it's accessible, both financially and with whatever limitations a person has. Some people don't want to leave the home for counseling, so in that way, today's climate of counseling is great because we can do it on telehealth and whatnot. But definitely just really finding someone that you're comfortable with is my number one for recommendation. And there's lots of counselors in Victoria. So if you go to somebody and you give it a good shot and it's not really, you're not really feeling that it's helping, there are other people that you can reach out to. And with our team, we've got a really good balance of people from all walks of life. And I feel that we're a really well-rounded bunch of counselors. We have a lot to
That's a
offer.
great point. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And what advice can you offer to someone trying to support friends or family with mental health condition right now?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important things is to, when you're supporting friends and family who have mental health conditions, is to put aside any preconceived notions of what mental health struggles are about. There's a lot of stigma in our society, and we can even have that stigma towards our friends and family who are suffering. And to remember that the people who are having struggles with mental health are in pain to some degree, and to approach that person with a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy, and just really to listen and be there for that person in whatever capacity they need you to be there for. Allowing people to talk without judging them is a big thing. A lot of people don't do that. They offer advice, and I think it's really important to sit back and just really listen to somebody and hear what they're saying, and just to let them know that you're there for them.
Thank you. I totally agree with that. That's amazing. And what coping strategies or self-care tips can you share with the followers?
So coping strategies and self-care techniques are so individual. I personally love gardening and hiking, but for some people, they would think that would be a terrible thing. So I think knowing yourself, checking in with yourself before feeling really intense emotions is a good thing. And just to know your own body and what works for you, whether that's a bath or a cup of tea, whether it's yoga, grounding exercises, deep breathing. There's so many different things out there that are available for people. Sometimes it's intense exercise. It just really depends on the person. And part of that is just really being able to check in with yourself and to know exactly what works for you. And sometimes that can take a little bit of, trying different techniques as well. If you try something and it doesn't work for you, that's off the list. But for those who are really struggling, having them written down sometimes can be very helpful as well. Just so that when you're in an intense time and are having a really hard time, you've got something available to you that doesn't require a lot of thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I definitely know my vegetable garden is getting a lot of love right now. So
I'm just building one, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to add or conclude to this?
I think the one thing that I think everybody just really needs to be aware of is just to approach yourself and others with a lot of self-compassion at this time. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of grieving in a lot of different ways, grieving the way of life, how it used to be. But I think if we're really honest with ourselves, I think we can probably find some positives in the present times, and also just be really, really compassionate with ourselves, really checking in, making sure that we are caring for ourselves and the other people in our lives. And also, one last thought, that physical distancing doesn't need to be social distancing. It's really nice to be able to connect with people. And I think that a lot of people that I talk to are just really feeling isolated and alone. And there are ways to reach out and find other people that you can connect with.
That's a great way to put it. Especially in this day and age, there's so many ways.
So many ways. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for everyone for watching. If you have any more questions for Heather, you can reach her at our Instagram at Heather_Clarity_counseling, or you can leave us a message or comment if you have any more questions for us. And also be sure to watch next Friday at 6 to see Ginger Henderson Counseling. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.